morning. Welcome to Morning Moments. I'm so glad that you came to join us today. I have today for an interview Kristen Stanton. She is Stanton. I knew I was going to mess it up. Kristen Stanton. Starting off really good, aren't we? She is an attorney, a singer. She's involved in television ministry. I could go on and on. I don't know exactly what else she does. She is not even sure what she does most of the time because just
about the truth.
It keeps adding to her. She is with Rob Pat's with Abundant TV, which we're on. We're on Abundant TV, and so I'm really, really thrilled to have you. Welcome to Morning Moments.
Thank you so much.
You know, when you look at the attorney / singer combination, people are going to go, well, there's got to be a story behind that. So I got to ask you, what do you do and why do you do it?
Oh my goodness, that is such a long story, but a great question. So I'm going to start with this. During law school, I was a sports writer. And my goal really was, hey, I want to work for a team because that was what I was passionate about. I loved that. So I decided I'm going to sit for the Michigan bar. I'm from Northern Ohio, so I went to University of Toledo for law school. And so I finished law school and I was interviewing with firms up in Michigan. And one Sunday, I knelt at the altar. I was at church, my home church in Ohio. I knelt at the altar and I said, God, I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'm going to do whatever it is that you want me to do. Thinking in my mind, I was moving 4 hours north up into Michigan. And it was at that point in time that God called me to sing. Now, singing had never been on my radar, ever. I did some worship and I did specials here and there, and I enjoyed singing, but it was never like a passion. It was not something that I wanted to do. So when God called me to do this after having just finished law school, and I'm sure that you know it's not a short process, I went and I talked to my pastor and I said, God's calling me to sing. I don't know what to do about this. And he said, Kristen, ministry is hard. You have to find your burning bush and don't confuse it with a firefly. Tell God no until you can't tell God no anymore. So, well, that's what I did. I told God no for 9 months. 9 months. I said, no, 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 I am not doing it. This is my path. This is what I'm going to do. Well, one day I had put some music on and I couldn't hear the tune anymore. And that was shocking to me that it all sounded the same and I couldn't hear the pitch because that had never happened before. It's never happened since. But I broke down and I cried and I finally said, okay, God, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do whatever it is that you asked me to do. And so I really thought that my whole life was going to change. No, nothing changed. Nothing happened. I started practicing law in Ohio. And at that point in time, I just was like, okay, but every time I would open up the scriptures, then I would start seeing songs. Now, I didn't know that I was a songwriter. I had no idea that I could write a song. I had never written one before. So I started writing these songs. And then one day I thought, what do I do with this collection of songs? And somebody from my church put me in touch with somebody that they used to cut a demo CD. That's actually in Indiana. So I went to Nashville, to Ocean Way Studios, and I recorded my first CD called Destiny by Design. God has a plan. And not knowing anything about what was the right thing to do, I thought, well, what do I do next? Now, anybody that's in music at all that hears this story thinks I'm nuts because this is completely backwards from what you should ever do. So I started releasing to radio and had some of my music do really well on radio. And at this time, I had a song called Pray Between the Lines that I had written that was on radio. And I had somebody picked up the phone and called and said, hey, Kristen, we heard your songs on the radio. We'd like to have you come to Creekside Gospel Music Convention. And I said, what's Creekside? So they said, well, it's in Pigeon Forge, it's the last week of October. And I said, okay. So not having any clue of what I was doing, and other than maybe singing a couple dates throughout the year, I still wasn't out singing anywhere really, a few churches here and there. And so I went down to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, went to this gospel music convention, left my law practice, because by the way, if you can't tell from behind me, I have a law practice that I run myself. I work for myself. So I left my law practice for a week, went to Pigeon Forge. This was 2015. And I went to the Creekside Gospel Music Convention. After 2 days, I was ready to leave. I thought, I don't fit in. My music is way too different. I shouldn't be here. Well, I was at midnight prayer on Tuesday night, and I left, and I was the first one. I hightailed it out of that room so fast that I thought nobody would be able to catch me. And a couple people ran me down, and they said, Kristen, I don't know what's going on, but you're here because God wants you here. And I really started reevaluating everything at that point in time, and I decided to stay. And I ended up liking it. I thought it was kind of fun. I recognized that I was different, and that was okay that I was different. And then in 2016, I went back. And in 2017, I started texting with this guy that I met there by the name of Rob Patz. He started texting me, and then he always likes to tell the story. He tells the story a lot better than what I do, because he has it from a completely different perspective. I didn't know he was flirting with me. I had no clue. I obviously, my flirting radar is completely off. I had no idea, but we texted for a whole year. And then in 2018, we went out on our first date. By the end of 2019, we knew we were getting married in 2020, but then this little thing called COVID hit and kind of ruined our plans. So we ended up getting married on September 3rd of 2021. And after we got married, he came to me and he said, Kristen, what do you think about doing television? And I said, I don't really know anything about TV. And which I knew he did, but I didn't know anything about TV. And I said, so let's pray about it. And after we prayed about it, I just had this overwhelming feeling in my spirit. Remember, I told God for 9 months when he called me to sing. I learned.
Go ahead.
So I learned the first time around that when God impresses something into my spirit, to do it. And I knew when we prayed, I knew we needed to do television, and we needed to do it right now. Don't wait. We needed to do it right now. And I said, but if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. So trial and error and finding the right people, we launched Abundant Television. So we have plans for the future. Later this summer, we're going to start recording our own show, and we don't have a name for it yet, but we're going to start doing our own show where we're going to be interviewing some different people and talking about, with my background in law and politics and sports, I have a lot of interests in music. So we want to do some different kinds of interviews and talk about biblical things and looking at things from a biblical perspective. So we'll see where God takes us as far as that is concerned, but it has definitely been interesting. And I say all of that to just say one thing: God has a plan for you. And that I still go out and sing. And every time I go out and sing, I talk about this song I wrote called Destiny by Design. And it was one of the first ones that I had written where I really wanted to tell my story and tell how God had a specific plan for me, even though I had a plan for myself. And God said, no, Kristen, this is what I want you to do. And it's amazing to me to think all of the things that have happened just because I told God yes to that one thing. Because without that, you don't have any real idea of where your life could take you.
Let me share some things that I feel on my heart, some things that you said. And I really believe there's somebody listening to this that needs to hear this right now. Kristen said, I don't feel like I fit in. I've felt that way all my life, that I don't fit in to everybody because I'm way out there. I think differently. I'm a goofball. I'm the class clown. I grew up just being the life of the party, and I felt like I didn't fit in because, I was different. Some of you, God's calling you and telling you some things that you need to do, and you go, well, it just doesn't fit in. It doesn't fit into my church vision. It doesn't fit into what other people are doing. It just doesn't fit in. The Old Testament and New Testament is filled with people that were doing God's work that didn't fit in, or nor did what they did fit in. That's okay. If God's called you, he'll equip you. He doesn't always call the equipped, but he does equip who he calls. God's got a plan for your life. And for some of you, you feel like, I don't fit in at all. I don't see where this is a normal ministry or a normal thing. I'm with you. I didn't see where this podcast that I'm doing is normal, and I didn't see where it fit into anything, but see where God's brought it so far.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I firmly believe that if you are living and you are breathing, it doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. God still has a plan for you. And any little voice that you hear that says something other than that is a lie straight from the pit of hell.
There's some of you that are scared of taking a step, and you're going, I don't know. We'll take the step. Take a step of faith. And God will give you direction if you take the step. Your speed is not near as important as direction. I see people going 100 miles an hour the wrong direction. So just take a step and he'll direct your paths. That's what he said. He'll direct your paths. But you've got to take the step in faith. And she's a story of taking a step in faith, right?
That's right. More than one.
Is there anything you'd like to share? We have just a minute or so left. Is there anything you'd like to share to kind of wrap things up? Any thoughts, last things you want to say?
I just want people to remember that it doesn't matter what your background is, God does have a plan for you. So wherever it is that you are, whatever it is that you might be struggling with, God knows exactly where you are. So don't give up. And because God is going to hold you up with his right hand, the Bible promises that.
If you want to know more about Kristen Stanton, you could go down below. I'm going to put in the comment section. If you're watching this on Facebook or my YouTube, you'll see all the links. And if not, you could go to my Facebook or YouTube to find these links. You also can find not only her ministry that she's done, maybe you can find out how to get those CDs she's talking about. You could also look to the links down below to be able to download the access to Abundant TV. So you could
That's right.
see all the ministries involved there. More important than all of that, when this interview is over, I want you to take time and pray for Kristen. Pray that God would continue to bless her in the ministry she has. She didn't even talk about our law practice. Folks, she works in family law, and she works with lives of children and families all day long. She needs your prayers for wisdom to work in that situation. She's sometimes the only difference between them, the family being a family, and being split up. And pray that God would continue to give her the wisdom of Solomon when she's in court. Thank you so much for being with us in Morning Moments.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate that.
Keep joining us on Morning Moments wherever you're watching it, and keep coming back, and may God richly bless you.